Hello YouTube fans, Maduranti here, and welcome to a deck profile with Shiranui Zombies 2.0 using the new support of Shiranui Sage. Shiranui Sage gives a massive plus for this deck as it gives you an instant PSY-Framelord Omega on your first turn if you draw it or gain access to this card. And it also allows further combo plays by restoring banished Shiranui monsters that you would probably gain through your trap card or your spectral sword. So there's a lot of combos you can do with this deck, and it's just become even more fun. Originally it did have more inconsistency issues, however this form is more consistent, more fun to play, and uses a lot more Shiranui cards as it can encompass them more frequently. So this will no longer use the Underworld zombie engine, which is Tristan at Isolde to bring out Lancelot. I've since gone away from that build because I like the new more synchro orientated build due to Shiranui Sage's appearance on the board. Plus we need the space, and we don't want to make an over 40 card deck, not in most cases. So let's go straight into the deck profile. We have 2 Zombie Master. Zombie Master allows us to resurrect zombies from our graveyard, well actually either player's graveyard if you had Zombie World in effect, but this deck does not run Zombie World, so if your opponent turns out to be a zombie user, you gain plus from it, but other than that, you're just going to be reborning Sages or Uni-Zombies in order to go into your synchro plays further on. And it's only once per turn for this card specifically, so you can keep reviving him and keep using his effect over and over again as long as you have discard fodder. Then we have 1 Shiranui Samurai. Shiranui Samurai is a 1-of in the deck. You can activate any Shiranui card from your graveyard by banishing it at any point in the game, because its effect is a quick effect, which is very good. It doesn't even need to be used in the battle phase. So it can go and allow you go with very good plays with your Shiranui Sage, or an instant destruction with Chief Priest, which is very good. Plus he gains a banishment effect when he battles a monster after damage calculation, which is pretty nice. When he is banished himself, you can target a Shiranui monster in your graveyard and to your hand, so most likely you'll be adding either Sage back from your graveyard to your hand, or Spirit Master to go into a rank 4 play, or maybe a synchro play with Spectral Sword. Then we have part of our Lightsworn engine, 2 Raiden. Raiden is quite nice because it gives you an extra 2 mils, 4 mils if you leave him on the board. He's an extra level 4 tuner, so he can go with your Mizuki plays to banish it, reborn a level 4 zombie, say Shiranui, and then zing for a PSY-Framelord Omega, which is quite good. And he's searchable through Charge and Live Brigade, which also mills the deck. So a lot of milling can be very nice. A small engine is good to speed up the deck, gives you alternative plays if your zombies are not in the right position. Say you don't have Sage or Uni-Zombie in the hand, then how can you go off? This allows you to go off more effectively because it could have the chance of hitting Mizuki and putting it into the graveyard, which can be the best thing to do. And 1 Lumina just basically reborns this and gives you Michael plays if I was running Michael, but most likely it will give you Clearwing Zingo Dragon or the Black Roses. Ancient Fairy Dragon as an option if you're going against a field orientated deck like Cosmo, although it's not best to destroy Cosmo Town, but you could still gain some plus from it because you're going to be searching out your synthesis, and that's alright. Plus she gives an extra mill of free cards, so that's basically the Lightsworn engine there. Then we have triple Mizuki. Mizuki is a staple in every zombie deck because it banishes to reborn any zombie from the graveyard. Simple as that. 2 Shiranui. Shiranui is a little bit more important in this deck than it was in its prototype of Shiranui Zombies 1.0, which is that it can banish 2 zombies from the graveyard to draw 1 card. It can set off any of your Shiranui effects. Most likely you'll be using like Chief Priest. You gain a draw and a pop from that. If you banish Sage, you get a special summon and a draw. If you banish Swordsmith, you can make your monsters impervious to battle, which is not really going to be used, and you can add Shiranuis from your graveyard to your hand, which is also good as well. You can also replenish your banished cards by putting on the top of your deck, which can set up weird plays with, like if you played Necroface, you can set up things like that to get 1 banished and then keep banishing and annoy your opponent with PSY-Framelord Omega, which I still have to make that deck. But Kunodoji is well worth playing 2 in this deck. If we played, oh by the way, if we played 3 Zombie Masters, it would clog. I don't think it would be good to run more than 2 of him. Just thought I'd mention that because I was tutoring in mind, but I just remembered it. So 2 Shiranui Spirit Masters. You don't want 3 because the same issue with Zombie Master. You'll draw all your graveyard not summoning cards without a graveyard, and that'll be issues. So 2 of them's good. Plus you don't really want to draw into this card anyway. You want to banish it through the effect of your trap card, which basically turns into a fire link for zombies, which is good. So when this is normal summoned, you can special summon a Shiranui from your graveyard. Banish it when it leaves the field, which technically also sets off the Shiranui effects if you were going for a synchro summon, but the only one you really would reborn through this is probably Katana, so you wouldn't gain anything from that. And its second effect is when it is banished, it can tag one face-up card on the field and destroy it, which is great. It doesn't miss timing, and yeah, it's just a simple free pop comboed with Shiranui Sword. Can be very, very dangerous. Then we have triple Goblin Zombie. Goblin Zombie is great because it gives you a free search, which is mandatory. So that essentially means it won't miss timing. And if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent's mills up card in their deck, can be nice as well. But essentially use it for search for any zombie that's 1200 or less defense points, which I believe all cards in this deck that are zombie have that low restriction on their life points. And just note that you can actually search out Erebus in this deck from Goblin Zombie, but not that you play Erebus. Could use it in the side deck possibly, but I'll go to the side deck later on. Then we have Swordsmith of Shiranui. The Swordsmith was something I didn't use in my original build, mainly because I saw him quite ineffectual in the fact that you only gain search through it to use it as a secret material, and its banishment effect is very subpar. However, after trying Shiranui Light Swarms, it did show its true colours of searching out the trap card, and kind of was better that way. So I'm taking it in as a little one-off for the deck. Gives you another Shiranui target for your stage, and you can essentially just search out your trap card and set up defense with like Goblin Zombie in the trap card. That could be very nice. I don't think I've ever used the Card Destroy by Battle effect in any Justice, so I wouldn't recommend banishing him. Then we have triple Shiranui Sage. Shiranui Sage is the best card in this deck. Literally, it makes the deck go from tier 3 to tier 2 because of its speed. It can tribute any zombie type monster, especially summon any zombie tuner with 0 defense from your deck. The only targets for zombie tuners that have 0 defense are Uni-Zombie, the Spectral Sword, I think it's either Pain Painter or some other obscure zombie that has 0 defense. But I'm not going to bother checking it right now, but you only would summon out Uni-Zombie preferably, but you can summon out Spectral Sword as well. But essentially he's a lone fire for the zombie deck, and that's great because you can basically do turn 1 play of summoning the Shiranui Sage, tribute itself to summon out Uni-Zombie. Uni-Zombie sends Mizuki from the deck to the graveyard. Mizuki then banishes to special summon the Sage. What this does over Uni-Zombie and makes it better to have in your opening hand is the fact that it gives you a zombie in the graveyard. Uni-Zombie never gave you that unless you modified its level to 5. Then you'd have to put like the Beast of the Pharaoh in the deck, into the graveyard I should say, to actually get PSY-Framelord Omega at turn 1. Whereas with Shiranui Sage, you can do that. You don't need that anymore. He is such a good card. And it has a good banishment effect as well. When it is banished, you can target banished Shiranui monster and special summon it to the field. If you control Shiranui's style reincarnation formation, or as it's actually known, synthesis, you can special summon 2 targets instead, which is very, very powerful, particularly in late game, because you probably would have this by that time, and you gain 2 additional special summons, probably your Chief Priest, who gets frequently banished, or your Spectral Sword, and your Spectral Sword I should say, to basically bring off a nice synchro, and then probably banish Mizuki to reborn that and go for a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. It has a lot of combos to it, and it is a well-worthy card in this deck. Then we have triple Uni-Zombie. Uni-Zombie is still a requirement at 3 because he sets up your engine, but Shiranui Sage is technically better than this card. Although we need Uni-Zombie to even use that card in any effective sense, opening up with Sage is better. But Uni-Zombie sends basically is a foolish burial for any zombie type by modifying a level by 1, and also has discard way of discarding to modify 1 as well. The turn you use the foolish burial effect, you can only attack with zombies. So if you're not running Zombie World, you gain a restriction in that sense. So you don't gain your synchro plays before you bring out Uni-Zombie, unless you're not going for an attack that turn, which can be annoying. But it's a decent restriction to make it not something that's not broken. Then, as I said earlier, Lumina to Reborn Raiden. Then we have 2 Spectral Swords of Shiranui. This card is really good because you can banish from graveyard with a non-tuner zombie type, most likely either Spirit Master or Sage, which gains a plus because you can then reborn the Spectral Sword. And you can special summon out any synchro zombie type. The 2 targets in this deck are Samurai Saga and Archfiend Zombie Skull. Archfiend Zombie Skull couldn't be summoned before without using something like Pain Painter. Now you can just special summon it. It doesn't have any restrictions on its actual synchro summon, so it can be easily special summoned this way. And we can finally use such an old card that looks quite dynamic in its stature, bringing out an undead Summon Skull. What could be better? So this card, very good. Then we have 2 Book of Life. We don't want to run 3 because that will break. Same reasoning behind Zombie Master, because you can't use this turn 1 at all in any sense. You could use these theoretically in turn 1. You can't use this in turn 1 because you have to have your opponent having a monster in the graveyard in order to banish and special summon your monster. But it's a free DD Crow, essentially. And that can be quite dangerous to something like Tellarknights, because you can banish the Neb, and they don't like banish the Neb. You can banish specific cards that they're going to be using later on the duel, and that can be very good, very plus in that sense. Then we have 1 Regeki. Regeki is a Monarch out, and it's just simply good. It's always going to be used, Regeki. Then we have Soul Charge. I particularly use this card in my turn 1 hand just to mean that if I draw Uni-Zombie by itself, I'm gonna have a PSY-Framelord Omega that turn. Whereas if you draw it later, you gain a massive advantage of reborning all the synchro monsters that you brought out during this duel, and possibly even bring out another monster to bring into a synchro summon. But I like him as a turn 1 card instead of a turn later on in the duel because of his battle restrictions. Then Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial has a lot of usage in this deck. It can send Mizuki to the graveyard, that's the standard play. But it can also send my Swordsmith or Goblin Zombie if I already have Mizuki in the graveyard, so then I can start searching my deck. Which is particularly wise this is a one-off, so I don't have to draw into it, and then I can just Foolish Burial this instead, or possibly Uni-Zombie if I have no more Mizukis in the deck. So it's very good. I wish this was at more because I would love to use more of these. I never got to use mass amount of Foolish Burials. I wasn't in that format, but it'll probably never come back to more than 1. Then we have 2 Charge of Light Brigade, part of our engine for Light Swans, mill 3, add 1, very good. Then we have 2 Twin Twinsters for out Monarchs and Pendulums. Particularly Monarchs because of their field spell being so dangerous. Although we have a lot of main deck outs to Monarchs, I still see it as a problematic matchup. So Twin Twister is still needed. Plus we're not bothered about discard fodder, so the main discard cost, I should say. So that's good enough to use him as over MST in this deck. Then we have 2 Shiranui style services, a new field spell for zombies, which can be searched through Swordsmith. So this card is quite good. I thought it was going to be really rubbish. I thought it maybe a tech in one of the zombie decks, but this actually proved to be quite effective when using it. Basically, if you control no monsters, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to activate one of the following effects. reborn one of your zombies with 0 defense. You have a lot of those. Zombie Master, you have Uni-Zombie, you have Sage, you have Swordsmith, you have Swordsman, Samurai, Chief Priest, and Spectral Sword. All can be reborn by this card. And the secondary effect is that you can instead target a banished zombie type with 0 defense. Return to the graveyard, so it resets up Spectral Sword or it resets up Sage, which is basically the only way you're going to get it out. I do want to run Burial from a different dimension in this deck, since it does cover free and it was in my original build. However, there's no real room for this card. I can't think of what to take out, and if I did take it out of anything, it'd probably be the Light One engine, and that would mean I need 4 more cards to be put in the deck. I don't think the Underworld zombies are fast enough at the moment. So yeah, this is a really good field spell. I'm not running Terraforming for it because it's not crucial for the deck. You can play very well without this card, but it just extends your plays and it's very good. Then we have triple Shiranui style Swallow's Sword. Basically a fire lake for zombies. Perfect card. Tribute 1 zombie type, target 2 cards on the field, destroy them, and then banish 1 Shiranui, which will be Spirit Master, which destroys 1 face-up card. Very plus, very much good. It's also a Monarch out because you can destroy that field spell to stop them setting up, and it's very good in that sense. Plus it's searchable through Swordsmith, so technically you could possibly run one less of this and then Burial in this sense, but I just love this card so much to not run it free. And then 1 Breakthrough Skill. Breakthrough Skill is basically to be abused by PSY-Framelord Omega, because then you can have a banishment negation of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls during your turn every turn, because you can keep cycling around, particularly if you have Mizuki's already in your graveyard. And I'll be going on to that a little bit further into this video. So Breaker Skill, good one of it in the deck. I don't think the deck really needs to run some strikes. It's not really a meta deck, so it's tier 2, but you can run tier 2 without the summons. Maybe put them in the side deck. You've already got a lot of ways to disrupt your opponent without the summons. So it's just not really plausible. Plus in online duels, I don't really like to use Solemn unless the deck is lacking in something. This deck isn't lacking that much. It has a lot of plays and a lot of combos that can bring forth a lot of powerful monsters. Speaking of powerful monsters, let's get into the extra deck. And first we have Castell, the only XC monster we now run. Because Castell is Castell, we always have to run something that's rank 4, and that's the card we generally go for. If I had another slot in this extra deck, I would put Abyss Dweller in, just because Burning Abyss and Cosmo and Monarchs are all problematic card decks, so putting in Abyss Dweller could be a possibility. Maybe take out Ancient Fairy Dragon in order to do this, but essentially I haven't gotten to that point yet. Then at level 6 synchros we've got Shiranui Samurai Stag, only can be summoned through zombie type tuner and non-zombie type tuner monster. So that restricts how you summon it, but most likely you'd be summoning it through Spectral Swords and banishment effects. Once per turn, during your player's turn, you can target one of your banished zombie type monsters, shuffle into the deck, and if you do change to defense position all monsters with attack less or equal to that monster's, I believe attack less than equal to that monster's, I believe it's the attack that it's in registering. So yeah, it can be problematic if your opponent has high level monsters. They won't be weaker than Mizuki, so you can't shuffle Mizuki back in. You can't shuffle most of these guys back in. So going against high level monsters is not very plausible. However, if you go against weak level monsters, you can shuffle back something like Lumina and say put all the Heavenly Squires or Underworld Squires to defense mode, and that can be quite nice. So resupplying your deck. Did I just say Lumina? I mean like something like Goblin Zombie. You got me shuffle back. Then we have the alternative effect. When it's banished, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 500 attack. Basic, very basic, but I have won through this effect. I've only used it once, but I've won through it. And then we have Archfiend Zombie Skull. Ashby's zombie skill protects all zombie types from being destroyed by card effect, I believe including itself, which can be pretty powerful. Only summon down through Spectral Sword. You can't actually synchro summon this guy because you don't replace him as a zombie. It's not needed anymore. But it's a great 2500 beast that protects your monsters. That can always be plus. The only downside is you generally don't have face-up zombie monsters anymore. You go into all these synchros, and these are not zombies for the most part. So his effect can be less used nowadays, but still a good card. Then we have Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon just to use as an auto field spell decks, destroy their field spells, search my field spell, very good. Plus you can special summon a monster from your hand that's level 4 or lower. You can't conduct your battle phase that turn, but you can extend your plays, which is always good. Then we have Black Rose Dragon. It's simple, it's a nuke. Obviously use it. Then we have Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, which is basically about a free bounce back anytime they special summon a level 5 or higher monster, or when this card is special summoned. It's a mandatory effect, by the way, so be careful with it. But it's quite good to out synchro decks. It's not very good against XC decks. Then we have Clearing Synchro Dragon to negate any monster effect of level 5 or higher, or when it's targeted by our effects. That's decent, but it is now not as good as its higher form. Now we know it's going to have a higher form. Now we have a higher form of this card. We don't see it as good as it was. This was particularly good in Necro's format, but it's less used now. Particularly if you see this on the board, your Monarch opponent will probably search out March before summoning the Monarch in order to get around Clearing Synchro Dragon's effect. Then we have Scrap Dragon onto the level 8 here. Scrap Dragon can be comboed with Beals to get a free destruction without losing any cards. Very good. Then we have 2 PSY-Framelord Omega. I think PSY-Framelord Omega in this deck is a definite 2 of, possibly a 3 of. You can bring out 3 of them. I've had possibilities to bring out 3 of them. But PSY-Framelord Omega essentially puts back Mizukis into your graveyard. Or it can cycle through cards like Breakthrough Skill or Mischief of the Gnomes or Electromagnetic Turtle to gain free advantage in that way. So a free negation anytime you want it, a free lockdown, stop your opponent exceed and synchro summoning can be very dangerous, and a free lockdown of the battle phase can be very explosive. However, there's no real good way of getting these cards into the graveyard as of yet for zombies, unless you run Beatrice, and then you'd have to use Malicious and probably something else with that. So I don't see that as a very good thing, but you may have to run maybe another copy of Mischief of the Gnomes. Probably not go copy this because this was about dual effect. Just realised this was about dual effect. This is useless. Oh, that's not good. I don't want to re-record this now. But yeah, Electromagnetic itself, useless. But you could use Necro Gardener, that old card, or Speedroid 3-eyed dice, Triad dice I should say, which can be banished and then next attack is negated. But this one's a tuner, so that works as well. You gain a free pseudo lockdown in the battle phase then. You can use that as an option. I'm actually going to put that as an option for this Necro Gardener, although it's more iconic for a zombie deck. It's not really going to fit in with this. A free extra tuner could be nice. Then we have the new Shiranui Soga Saga. Well, this is not new actually. I'm getting tongue-tied now. If this card is special summoned, you can target you can banish one of your zombie types from your graveyard, gain attack equal to that original attack. Which can banish my probably Samurai Saga and gain basically 2500 plus a 500 off their monster. So that could be very dangerous for your opponents, particularly if they're a Cosmo user. Then you can beat over Dark Destroyer, and that can be critical at that point in the game. Particularly if you put something in that stops them using their effects. Possibly Abyss Dweller over like Ancient Fairy Dragon could be a good combo to get around with. Then we have Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. It can nuke the board with anything that's special summon that's attack less than this card. And that does 500 damage, so it's basically your Cowboy of the deck. And I should just mention, I just forgot his other effect. When you destroy my battle card effect, you can target one of your banished zombie types with 0 defense and return to the graveyard. It's simple, it's an alright effect. But yeah, Scarlight is very good in this deck too. Then we have Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Something I didn't add in until a little bit later in until I actually realized I could bring this out with Shiranui Sage in the game right now. Basically, you would do this through using the effect of Spectral Sword, Banishing Sage, summon out your Shogun Saga. That will allow your Sage to activate Spectral Sword, then re-synchro for your Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is a lot better than Clear Wing Synchro Dragon since it negates any monster effect during either player's turn, which is very powerful, and against the attack as well, like the usual. Also, when it battles any monster that's level 5 or higher, it gains an honest ability. So you're doing it in instant 3000 if they're in attack mode, which can be very plus indeed. Then we have Void Ogre Dragon, which is basically a lockdown for your spells and traps. You can combo these two very good, have a pseudo lockdown that can probably annoy your opponent. When you control no cards in your hand, you can negate one spell trap per turn. Very good. Then we have Beals, staple monster in any zombie deck. It comes from a battle card effect. It's going to be notorious. Well, it is always notorious. I remember back in the day when this first came out, I was playing Shiranui. How the hell do I out this? But nowadays it's not as good, but it's still something good if you don't have PSY-Framelord Omega to go into and you don't want to waste any of your other level 8 synchros. And a few extra deck options you have for this deck are side deck options you have for this deck are Lila, because you run Light Swan Engine, you can search out an MST, good against Monarchs. 3-eyed Dice, originally Electromagnetic as you saw, but 3-eyed Dice to stop Cosmo because then stops them attacking. It doesn't target them, so that's very good. Then Ghost Ogres for when you're not in control and then you can destroy cards in their field. Technically better than Veiler since you don't have very good synchro options with Veiler, whereas Ghost Ogre you can easily synchro with and combo with like Uni-Zombie, but use Uni-Zombie's effect to modify her level and synchro another non-tuner zombie. So you can use her in different ways. Maxi for when you're not in control, good draw, give you all your supplies. Free system down, because I fear Cosmo would be a problem for this deck, as there's no other outs except from clearing Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Possibly Scarlight, because it can nuke the board. Shogun Saga can technically out it as well. Black Rose technically as well. If you use Abyss well, you can combo with Shogun Saga. But there's not much outs to Cosmo, so when you're not in control, use system down to eradicate them. Unfortunately, you can't run Imperial Iron Wall because that'll lock yourself down. Mischief nodes for Draco's Lair decks, do something synchro and exceed summoning. Massacre Restrict because when you're in control, you want to stop those Monarchs going off. And Anti-Spell Fragrance to stop the Pendulums going off. Also stops Monarchs going off because they have to set the Pantheisms. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I love this deck. It's very much one of my favorite zombie decks of all time now. You can technically make a Skull Servant version of this using new support. It does work probably a lot better than the original Skull Servant version with Shiranui. But yeah, this deck is perfect. Very much. Well, not perfect as in it'll always win your duels. But it's a very good deck. Very tier 2, and if you enjoy zombies, you'll enjoy this deck. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this and want to see further content. If you've got any suggestions for the decks, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you want to see when I'm dueling, please like my Facebook page, which is in the description below. And that'll be where I post when I'm actually dueling. And if I will be able to sort out something with stream capabilities, I'm starting to tinker with that right now. So yeah, thank you for watching. Matt Durant signing out.